Charlie, I want to start with you on this question. We've talked a little bit about this, about, bridging the gap between legacy systems and new technology. And, a lot of times it's one of those things where, hey, we have this old system, but it still works. But you need to implement some sort of new technology to give you a capability you didn't have before. So how can you bridge that gap so that you have your legacy systems and your new systems, and they're actually working together and sharing information the way you need to?
Great. So that's a good question. And we all have to keep abreast of both the technical changes and the policy changes that's going to affect our existing and our near and long-term future security system strategy here. I said earlier that old doesn't go away, but I really want to emphasize that new threats, new evolving threats, and new approaches to how to identify those and deal with them are absolutely critical. And understanding how that is evolving, that goes back to a great deal to my point about establishing the relationships with both the customers and with your colleagues, because they will, as collectively, you will see this coming a lot faster. But starting from the beginning again on this, you need to assume the need to reinvest or maybe even reinvent and build upgrade costs into your security program. And you're going to have to build that into your O&M costs, maybe even some investment piece here. You can't just go to the boss and go to the company and say, give me some more funding. You need a plan. And from my experience, you need to make that case. You need to make that case playing it as straight as you can. You don't want the boss to come back and say, why are you telling me this? You think the sky is falling or something? Unless the sky actually is falling. Rarely is that the case. You're really projecting out into the future if you're doing this correctly here. And it is important to have that ability to approach the leadership directly and be able to tell them concisely and fairly, here's what we have to deal with, here's what the possibilities look like, and here's where this technology is going, and come up with a plan to get ahead of this.
So Casey, I would just jump onto that, because bridging legacy systems has been a challenge for as long as forever. The reality is particularly in the last 20 years, technology continues to move at the speed of light. And oftentimes, people believe that I can just do it as I built my facility. And much like a program, nobody ever buys just a single aircraft. They buy a lot of aircraft. And nobody ever builds just one satellite. They buy a lot of satellites. And the reality is from the beginning, security professionals should be part of the programmatics, not only for secure space requirements, secure network requirements, evolving technologies. That example of the door prop, think about, in days past, those used to be vault doors that if you propped them open, you actually killed the compliance because you destroyed the rubber stripping on the bottom. So then company ABC was no longer in compliance. So you've got to continue to bridge the knowledge of where's the program going so that you can anticipate the needs, anticipate the technology. So if there's an expansion to a program, let's try new technologies in that environment. And if you have a multi-year plan, then your leaders are going to be much more willing to say, okay, this new space, we're going to put this new technology in. And then Charlie will cover it a little bit later, but the integration of old and new is a constant question that security professionals always have to ask themselves.
And to your point about bridging technologies, is also bridging policies as they evolve.
Correct.
And then, Charlie, one of the technologies that's getting a lot of discussion right now is, of course, artificial intelligence. So where do you see AI, specifically, agentic AI, fitting into future security in depth plans and, helping to build these stronger physical security programs? What role can AI play there?
Good question. And of course, AI itself is one of those evolving things. And what I thought I could do yesterday and versus 3 weeks from now, I'm not really sure all the time. But a developed and informed AI program can, at least in theory, look at a facility, help build out plans, both architecturally and mission related, review the known threat situation, sort of what can happen in this environment as opposed to the one down the block, provide a strategy for design implementation for a security plan, and meet with both customer and internal requirements to deter, detect, and deny, in whatever order we pick, that sort of stuff. But in essence, it is how to develop the building security plan and to protect the building during construction, where it becomes the most at this point where it's probably most effective on this. And then once the facility is in operation, it is unlikely that you're going to get any advanced warning that there's a specific attack coming, such as, hey, they're coming at dawn, be careful. It is important that for this system that you put, with an AI system that you put in place for monitoring, to see something, precursors to an event occurring. I mentioned that before, crowds gathering, whatever it may be, and interpret it as far out in time and in space as is reasonably possible. And if the facility perimeter has been breached, it need to know where inside your perimeter now that intruder might exist. And finally, sort of how does that system inform and enable an effective response capability? Not just one and done, hey, we saw somebody come through the fence line, but throughout the existence of that entire event, be able to notify and inform responders as to the whereabouts of where that threat exists right now.
So too, Casey, let me just jump on the agentic AI because, in this scenario, LVT has a great product that from a standpoint of a sensor package, the sensor package actually allows the sensors to identify both just the individual crowds and to give that data to someone, inform that data to someone who can take action. So when I think about agentic AI and its ability to collate information, inform, and then allow an organization to respond, and I think about its use case in real scenarios of crowd control, zone of control, agentic AI has real possibility. And like all of AI, it's going to continue to evolve. And to Charlie's point, in every scenario through, life cycle of a security program, particularly a physical security program, this really becomes an opportunity space to allow, visibility, information, and the ability to respond in a way that is not that effective and timely today. So it's phenomenal.